What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. Yo, this was quite the interesting episode. This episode was kind of weird because it starts off obviously as a continuation from where we left off last week with Diavolo and Giorno and all that shit. But then in the second half is a flashback with Mista, Bucciarati, Fugo, Narancia, Abacchio. Trying to investigating this dude that might have thrown this girl off the top of a building. It turns into a murder mystery almost, and it's completely different when we start off at the start of the episode. I don't even really get why we're even doing this flashback, but you know what? I dug it. This obviously was a fantastic episode, and I'm like, one thing I almost could think I know why Araki's doing this, because one of the biggest reasons why Part 4, first off, why it surprised me so much with how good it was and why it is my favorite part, was that mystery and how to defeat, Bites the Dust. I was slipping on the ability's name for some reason. Bites the Dust. How are they going to figure out to beat it? How are they going to do this? And we found all that stuff that led before it. Also, people dying left, right, and center, going on with time and everything. And with this arc, with this part, we haven't really gotten that outside of the initial mystery of who is the boss, who is Diavolo. But after that, there was really nothing, and even then, it wasn't that big of a mystery of who is the boss? Because I just didn't find it as interesting, or as engaging, I should say, than what we have there. But with this episode, with this little stand user, what we discovered, with this stone that's constantly following around fucking Mista. It is closer, it is creepy, it is a far more engaging, honestly. I find it's a bit more engaging than figuring out who the boss was, but the boss wasn't a pivotal point throughout a majority of the episodes. It was only a handful of them where we really started wondering who the boss is, and even then, it's not like Araki was dropping these little clues to figure out who it is, It's definitely not what happened with Kindred right now in the Nick Spencer's run of the Amazing Spider-Man comic, which 2 years from now, we finally figure out who it is. I'm not gonna say nothing in case for spoilers, but But anyway, I'm going up. But anyway, regardless, I don't know why I'm going on for so long. But yeah, man, I'm really digging this episode. Very curious to see what's next with the stand user or whatever, with the stone and everything. I'm very curious to see what we're gonna see next week. And yeah, man. So let's just jump right in. Also, before we jump right in. The Steelers are on right now, actually. I just checked my Twitter. I saw they were playing, and they were actually up 24-7 against the Cleveland Browns, which actually, the Browns have actually been pretty good this season, apparently. I'm checking the record. They're 4-1, which, that's surprising, because they're the Cleveland Browns. But, hey, good for you all people in Cleveland. Now let's hope the Steelers can win this game. But anyway, I am just going all over the place with this episode review at Hard Eye. But anyway, let's just jump right in. So we start this episode off actually with a flashback this time. We got this, like I said, this complete. This has all the original crew minus Giorno, Mista, not Bucciarati, but Mista, Abacchio, Narancia, and Fugo all sitting around a table enjoying their lunch. And my boy Mista is okay, hear me out, guys. It's nobody wants to hear it, Bucciarati. Nobody wants to hear it, Mista. It's no, you'll like this one. He says, now, let me ask you guys this. Do you think human flesh would taste like crap, or would it actually rock? And Narancia chokes on. He's oh. He's what the hell goes up in that messed up side of yours? That's it. Go to the dipshit table. One of the funniest lines of the episode was when he was the dipshit table. And actually, he also had Abacchio's, or no, not Abacchio. It was Fugo saying, "Can you not ruin all of our appetites?" So anyway, after one of the greatest lines of JoJo history, that being "Go sit at the dipshit table," I might actually title that for this episode. That might actually be the title, the thumbnail for my review, "The Dipshit Table." Legit, that's fucking hilarious. I've never heard that. That's Araki, give yourself a raise for that line. So anyway, after the dipshit table line, we head back to where we were last week, with of course Giorno and Diavolo. Of course, Giorno's doing the whole Muda, 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 thing going on, and so after he's punching him, he's telling him like, that you will not move from this point. This is the fate. This is the fate that you. This is your fate or whatever. And like or he said like the truth you will never experience. Mercy, which I guess when he says that he means like you ain't getting mercy, man. And then finishes him off. And sends him there. And the pose and shot right here they used with Golden Wind Requiem. The pose he's doing as Diavolo was up in the air, looked really fucking cool. It was a really sick looking still shot that I might low-key use in the thumbnail. Haven't decided yet, but I might use it. I'm not sure. There's 2 single shots in this episode that I thought looked really fucking cool that I might just use as the thumbnail by itself. I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm recording this right now. I figure you guys will of course find out when you click on this video when it's finally uploaded. But anyway, so then he lands into the water. Misa and Trish obviously go look around. They're always like, yeah, you did it, Giorno, And then they look around. They find out that he's not there. That Diavolo is not in the water. And they're of course getting worried. They're like, oh shit, we gotta find him. Help us look, Giorno. And Giorno's just kind of standing there. And then we head over back to the current where we see Diavolo holding on to this thing that kind of leads into like an alley that leads into like like the sewers or whatever it is. It like goes up there and you go pretty much into like underground area or whatever, right by this current. So anyway, he's holding on to this stone wall, whatever you want to call it, this perch. So he's like grabbing it and he's like,
once again, you have failed to kill me. Unsurprisingly, but what happened with my premonition? No matter. When I get my hands on you, it'll be the end. But first, I have to get out of this damn current!
So he finally gets out of the current. And he's just like crawling his way over there. He's like, Eee! And he's just like slowly crawling, like blood's all over the place, The man obviously was beating the shit. He's not gonna just simply walk this off, ladies and gentlemen. And so as he's crawling into like this sewer area or whatever, he gets in there and he says, oh, it looks like my luck is finally turning around. And I'm like, oh, you fool! Have you not learned from Yoshikage Kira? Luck don't mean shit at the end of JoJo. Because right after here is when the episode legit just goes batshit insane. So once he finally makes it through the hole, we see a light start to come into the frame. And the next thing we know, we see some dude charging towards him, and then he stabs Diavolo with a knife, and then he's like, ah! And the dude's going like, oh, get away from my coat, or I'll cut you like Swiss cheese or whatever. I'll cut you like salami or something. He just starts going on, and like you can tell this dude's kind of crazy. He's like, get away from my coat. He's like moving the knife, this dagger, like scalpel or whatever, all around, and then Diavolo looks over to the side. And then he finds these 2 people chilling by like this barrel with some fire coming out to keep them warm. And then we check the ground, there's a syringe. So obviously this dude's probably high off of heroin or some shit. He's on them hard drugs. Diavolo checks, and then Diavolo looks down and he finds out his hand is covered in blood. Obviously the dude actually managed to cut him. Managed to get a cut on him, on Diavolo. So he's like, ah! He's driving in, and he's like, what is this? What? I am Diavolo! My death cannot come from some mere commoner! It doesn't make any sense! Ah! And then next thing we do, he's now in a morgue, completely naked, and a woman comes in there being like, oh, the deceased was most likely dead 48 to 50 hours ago, yada, yada, yada. She starts narrating all over him while she's like examining him, doing an autopsy. And Diavolo's looking at her like, woman, stop this right now! I demand you stop! And she's just not listening to him. I don't even know why she couldn't hear him. Well, Diavolo is screaming at her, but whatever. So she keeps moving around. First off, she starts to check. She starts to check him. She's doing the autopsy, see how he's doing. So first off, she cuts him open a little bit, and Diavolo's like, ah! He's screaming out, and then she pulls out his liver, I think it was. She says, this liver is in excellent condition. I wonder if she's gonna use that to done it off to something with how good a condition, because she was praising the condition of Diavolo's liver. Surprisingly, considering he's Italian. You know how the Italians love their alcohol. I guess their livers are just built differently because they're probably born with wine in their system. But anyway, she afterwards, so she like first then she grabs out like a fucking buzz saw. I think it was some sort of saw, and starts cutting and starts like sawing him up, and Diablo's like ah! He's screaming out there, and then you get like this like thing, this like real trippy effect before he's now color switch over again, and now he's now on a sidewalk by a bustling road with cars going back and cars going on. And so he's like just kind of sitting there, just like, what is this? What is happening? And so he's just like kind of confused as we are, looking like on what the hell's going on. Like no legit, like at first when this first started happening the first time, when he, I think it was when, or it might have been here actually, where I was thinking like, what is this, like part 4? Where the dude thinks where it looks like he might have died, but he thinks he survived. Because remember in part 4, Kira thought he got away scot-free from Jotaro and the guys, and then Remy came in there, put her hand through him and said, nah, motherfucker, you dead, and then finished him off. I at first thought that what it looks like kind of was, it looks like Araki is like slowly picking out from the end of part 4 a little bit for part 5, which I'm not even really going to give too much shit over because he never really does this, and he does it differently enough. And because like I said, so I'll go back to the mystery stuff at the end of the episode a little bit later, because I got one other thing I want to say about that after we get there. So anyway, so like I said, Diablo's just looking around. He's like, what is this? And then this dude comes in and says, hey, you shouldn't be sitting there. If you need medical attention, I can call an ambulance. And then this dog just pops out of nowhere and just starts barking at Diablo. The dude is telling her, hey, down, girl. And then the dude trips over something and then falls into the road. And Diablo's like, what? What is this? How am I supposed to? I am not fit to die such an undignified death. And then gets to the ground, he's like, what have you sought off to me, Golden Wind Requiem? And then he crashes into it. And then we're back to Trish. She's obviously like looking around. Like her and me start looking around trying to find Diablo. She's like, okay, I still feel Zora. He's still relatively close. We gotta find him. And then Giorno says, Trish, take a breath now. Our job is done. And Trish's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, he's still out there. We didn't finish the job. And he says that he will never return, and that his end is without end. That is the true judgment of Golden Wind Requiem, which I guess kind of goes on to what Golden Wind Requiem said to Diablo around the start of the episode, where he says like, the only truth, the truth you won't experience is mercy. He is going to pretty much just be an infinite loop of death. He's in a death loop. Get it? Because of the game Death Loop that's going to be a PS5 exclusive next year. Well, timed exclusive. Anyway. So yeah, so he like so from there they're just kind of like, okay, so he's like that this is like for him stuck in infinite like death loop. So then we get back, he's now in this other place. He's like, how many deaths will I suffer before I get to the end? And then like this little girl comes up to him. Y'all never thought you'd see Diablo do this, well, did you? And the dude's just like scared shitless of this little girl. And she's like, stay back! Get away from me! Leave me alone! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the great Diablo damn near shits himself over a little girl walking towards him. Oh man, JoJo truly is bizarre. Anyway. So yeah, right after that, everyone agrees that okay, that we need that Diablo is done for. Instead, they go rush over to Bucciarati's body. Like, we gotta get over to Bucciarati. His body's gonna be pissed off. His body's full of holes or whatever. And I'm like, come on, fam. You guys have seen my reaction when I uploaded. Hopefully a lot earlier today, because I don't got the finals or anything this week. So sorry about that. So the reaction should also be dropping today on Sunday as well. But anyway, so it's your and I'm like, come on, man, just tell them that Bucciarati is dead. So you take a couple steps forward, and that's when you hear Bucciarotti's voice saying that you have done your job, Giorno, and that the day is ours. And then we get this beautiful shot, this beautiful still shot, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was like either like a double page spread in the manga or just a splash page of Giorno looking up in the sky. You see Bucciarotti's head, and then you also see Abbacchio and Naranci's right next to him. It looks really fucking cool. Like I said, that's another shot that Bill K. They would just make it the thumbnail, you know. So, like I said, you guys will find out when I upload the video. And then when he looks down, he then sees that there's a stand arrow, and that's when we cut to commercial. And so anyway, which I'm curious what that happens with the stand arrow now on the ground. Does that mean that Giorno loses the abilities of Golden Wind Requiem? Can he not use the Requiem abilities now, or does he just stab himself again and boom, he has the Requiem abilities, or is it permanent, or is it just there for show? We don't know yet. Maybe we'll find out in the last 2 episodes. Anyway, once we get back from commercial, we're right back with Mista, right? We'll just flash back to the rest of the episode. So you remember at the start of the episode, Mista was going on about whether or not he thought humans would taste like shit or not? Well, that was the opening. Well, that was his whole argument, because he goes into detail about why he thinks that humans most likely taste like shit. He goes, and to be fair, Mista brings up a pretty good point. To be fair. So he goes on about about different, like, you know, carnivore animals, like, you know, lions, cats, vultures and such, and how you never see them on the menus. Even though I'm pretty sure you can get lion, I think that is a thing. I'm not sure, but you definitely don't see as much as like cows, steaks, chickens, you know, things of that nature. And so he goes on, like, why don't we ever see those type of animals on, you know, on the on the menus or whatever, for, like, you know, at restaurants or whatever. And Narancia goes on about, like, no one knows what they taste like, because nobody in their right mind would, like, eat one. Would eat a cat or whatever, because, you know, house pets. We don't eat cats. We don't eat dogs. We all get pissed off in movies whenever they kill off the dog. We know this song and dance. But Mista goes on that about, you know, cows, pigs, and chickens, that they don't eat meat. That there are, you know, herbivores, and that the less meat they eat, the healthier their diets, the better the meat tastes. So from there he says, you know, that's otherwise humans, still with that logic, humans taste like ass. He actually said that humans taste like ass. It's foolproof logic. And Abbacchio actually takes a seat, sit back, leans into his chair. He's like, you know what? That's actually that is rather coherent. Which you almost gotta get right. I don't know if there's any truth to that. Like I said, I'm not a biologist or a nutritionist or a fucking animalologist or whatever goes into like food, a cook or whatever, a culinary-logist or whatever. That ain't my forte, so I don't know if there's any truth in that. But if there's anyone that are in that forte, please write down in the comments if that's actually legit or not. And then you have Narancia being like, yeah, but if you're dry, what does it say about all the fruits and vegetables that I usually eat? My man, Misa says, well, I guess I'll just have to throw you on the grill and find out. And then you have Fugo be like, Narancia, God, you're such an easy target. And so then Bucciarati comes in there, and they find out that Leaky Eye Luca is dead. And which do we actually see? I believe we did see his death at the start of part 5. I'm not sure completely, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure we did see his death at the end. And I think Giorno killed him. I think it was. I don't really remember, because this is like a year ago at this point when we started part 5. Anyway, he says that, you know, like that Leaky Eye Luca is dead, and then Narancia goes on. He's like, oh, he had it coming. He probably got high and hit his head. You know, he sold drugs to kids. You know, but you know, you can. If I remember correctly, Narancia took drugs as a kid, or he's kind of like we all know he's been wronged as a kid. He had that whole episode, so he get where he's coming from. And then Bucciarati says that, you know, that your passion does not mean that you shouldn't pick your words carefully or something. You know, in our line of work, and Narancia's like. So anyway, Fugo then. So then Bucciarati notices that there's this guy just chilling on this chair. And then Fugo mentions, oh yeah, you have a guest. Poor guy's been waiting here all day for you. So then, Fugo tries to help him up, or actually, no, I almost forgot about the guy Luca thing. Originally, Fugo was going to take the job. He says, future Coppola's like, you shouldn't do grunt work. And then Bucciarati says, no, I'll take care of it. So anyway, that's what I said. So Fugo helps the guy out of his chair, and then he walks over to Bucciarati. And we find out, and the dude that's is a bit shaky in the knees because he walks around with a cane, and he says his legs aren't as they once were. So apologize if I'm a little shaky in the knees or whatever. And so Bucciarati tells him, motions for him to speak on what he wants to say to him. So first off, before he starts to speak, before he fully starts to give off his request to Bucciarati, he asks him. He says, "Tell me, good man, do you pay your taxes? Every lira of it?" He's like, "Nani? Do you pay what you owe your country? Every lira of it?" And he's like, "Oh yes, of course. I pay my taxes, all of it, all on time. Never a day late." And he says that the tax-paying citizen like yourself, you should go consult the police over your matter, because you will owe a debt, you will owe a very different type of debt to the family or whatever. And so he says that's fine. And then he asks Bucciarati if he could speak in private, and Bucciarati tells him, "No, these are my boys. And I can't tell them to just stop eating their dinner just for our sake. That would just be rude." So he's like, okay. So he tells him what happened. So I think he said about 6 months ago, his daughter met up with his boyfriend. He found out through his wife, and he didn't really mind that she was a little bit older than him. By the way, she is 17 years old, and then he asked him, he tells him rather but what didn't sit right with him. I was blanking there for a second, I don't know why. That what didn't sit right with him was the fact that he never went to meet them. Yes, because how dare the boyfriend not instantly go meet her parents if they've only been dating for like a week? How dare they? I don't know about that one, fam, but hey, I guess he was right, because now she's 6 feet under, so I guess he was right to be skeptical, or for him to be a little uneasy about it, I guess. So, hey, what else, fam? So anyway, later she fell off the roof of his apartment building, clutching this strange stone. And then I really took the shot here. So they have the screen, and then a bunch of blood splatters on the screen, and then you just see him go before he falls down, before he goes down to his knees and starts sobbing. Obviously more than the death of his daughter. And Bucciarati goes to console him for a moment, and he says, "Sorry, I lost my composure. Why is the pain still so fresh?" So then he opens the bag he was carrying with him, find out that it's actually that has a shit ton of cash in it, and then he just begs Bucciarati to avenge his daughter, have that scoundrel, yes, scoundrel. What is it, Star Wars? Scoundrel. He tells him to have this scoundrel, have him feel an ounce of the pain that he's going to feel for the rest of his wretched life. And at first, Bucciarati declines him because they're not assassins or whatever. They won't kill anybody for money. But then Bucciarati tells him, we also find out that the dude mentioned that he tried to go to the cops, but they just saw it as a suicide, and they didn't do nothing about it. Well, this is like his hill to die on. He swears that her daughter would never kill herself. That he was the radiance of his life and this other. And she was actually pretty hot, low key. I'd smash. Low key, I would smash. But anyway, yeah. So at first, but then Bucciarati kind of sits down to his chair. The shot right here where the sun coming down onto him looked fucking cool. It was a badass looking shot. Probably one of the best shots I've seen in Part 5, honestly. That whoever was the cinematographer for this episode, whoever drew that shot, I should say, whoever was the animator doing that shot, give that man a fucking raise. And whoever's idea of this shot was, give that man a raise as well. Anyway. So he sits down there, but he says that there's connection to his familia, short core with them, which is the soft spot for Bucciarati. So he will at least check him out and see what he has to say. Only then he will take his payment if he is found guilty. So then the dude rushes over to Butcherati, grabs his hand, be like, oh, God bless you, sir, God bless you, senora, hey, you know, and all this other shit. And so then they're about to go out, you know, put the groups, everything, they're going to go and check out what's going on with that. Misa sits up, and he sees this stone, this spherical stone, just chilling by his seat. We're just there, and you have this ominous as fuck music, like this, you know, I don't think it was like, I like the song, but man, is it ominous as fuck. The ominous from it, you also have the menacing the menacing kanji or whatever, right by it too, like JoJo's going all out for this fucking stone. And so then Abakio tells him to put it back where he found it. And then he asked, Misa asked Abakio, like, did you know where this was? Because the guy looked at Pierre out, but he's like, whatever, just watch where you step. I prefer not have my things in pieces. So then they go out there, and he finds the stone again. Butcherati and Fugo are both in the car. They're just waiting for Misa, and Fugo's telling him, like, what do you gotta take a shit or something? That had me dying there, man. That was funny as hell. And then he sees the stone again, ominous music and all. So he goes over there, kicks the stone before he gets into the car. And then Butcherati knows that something is troubling Misa. So he asks him what it is, and he tells him that, you know, that there's something about that stone. They tell him what it was, and he just said, no, it was just a strange looking stone. He's like, I can think of a million things that are strange looking that doesn't tell me anything. He was like, oh, that's all he got. That's all he gave us. So anyway. And also when he gave, or this comes later. So then afterwards, they kind of just driving by. The stone appears again and again. Ominous music and everything. Misa's kind of freaking out. He's telling him to stop the car, hit the brakes, and then the stone doesn't appear at all. And so then Fugo asks him if he's drunk. And he's like, why do you always go there? I'm not drunk. I may be a little loopy. Yeah, man, words can hurt, you know. So then he gets over to the apartment complex. Fugo thinks that he should go with Butcherati or with Misa, but Butcherati decides to go with him, and he tells Fugo to go check up on Likia and Luca. But I think by this point Misa was also given a piece of paper and a photograph of what the dude looks like. Now at first we didn't see his face, so at first I legit thought this might have something to do with Diavolo, because I don't know why else we would get this flash, and it literally has nothing to do with what we just saw in the previous episode, but it doesn't look like it's Diavolo. And so he gets over there, and he says it's about 7th floor, then where he's at there. And then once he gets there, the stone is in the elevator, ominous music and all. And at this point, Misa's just like, fuck it. He shoots at the thing, and then the stone reappears with it shaped up with it sculpted out to look like Butcherati. And we see the dude in the elevator, so we know this dude's a stand user. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we get to the to be continued. So overall, this episode was absolutely fantastic, man. I loved it. I mentioned this before, but I mentioned like how one of the best parts that really solidified part 4 as my favorite part were those last final episodes of figuring out how are they going to defeat defeat Kira with Bites the Dust. And it seems like that kind of like mystery of like what's going to happen. It's kind of like coming back in here with these last 2 episodes with this guy with the Sand Eater. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm very intrigued to see where this is going. And honestly more intriguing than this than I honestly was on who the boss was. Because I'm really curious on who the stone is, what the girl has to do with all this stuff, and who is this guy. Just also that ominous music is really fucking cool. So yeah, man, I'm very curious to see what we got next up for the last 2 episodes. Can't believe we're almost done with part 5, man. Then it's just waiting for part 6 to air whenever that happens. And yeah, man, overall, I give this episode a 10 out of 10. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, if you like, links in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.